Welcome back. Today, we're jumping right into a massive, dramatic breakdown of the Verizon network that literally paralyzed the country on August 8th, 2026. We're going to tear into the timeline, the data, and the real-world fallout to figure out exactly how the nation's biggest wireless carrier just went totally dark.
Picture this, right? It's a totally normal Saturday afternoon. You pull your phone out of your pocket. Maybe you're trying to text a friend, call your family, or just map your way to a restaurant, and bam. Instead of your usual signal bars, you see those three dreaded letters sitting in the top corner of your screen. SOS. You're completely cut off. No calls, no texts, absolutely zero internet. And this wasn't some tiny glitch in a single town somewhere. This was a massive, nationwide disconnection. You can imagine the frustration spreading like wildfire as thousands of people suddenly realized their main lifeline to the outside world was entirely severed.
Section 1, the outage begins. A rapid escalation. Okay, let's look at the timeline because this is where you really start to grasp the terrifying speed of this thing. Downdetector, which obviously tracks these outages as they happen, showed the first hint of trouble at exactly 3:50 p.m. Eastern. Just 44 isolated reports. Pretty standard, right? But then, and this is wild, just 20 minutes later, at 4:10 p.m., those 44 reports had exploded to over 8,000. And then barely 6 minutes after that, it skyrocketed past 10,800. We are not talking about a slow, gradual degradation of service here. We are looking at a massive system practically falling off a cliff in under half an hour. And that ridiculous climb, it didn't stop there. Simultaneous outage reports eventually peaked at over 13,000. And these weren't localized to one area either. They were just pouring in from major hubs everywhere: New York, California, Washington, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Houston. The blackout was just steamrolling from coast to coast, leaving a massive trail of disconnected phones in its wake.
Section 2. What went down? Service failures.
So what exactly was failing? Well, the data shows a really huge imbalance. Internet access was definitely spotty, sure, but a staggering 80 to 87% of all complaints were centralized on one basic thing: voice connectivity. People just literally could not make or receive phone calls. Beyond that, roughly 10% of folks couldn't get their 5G home internet working, and maybe 5 or 6% were totally locked out of mobile data. And look, this wasn't just a bunch of angry users speculating on social media. Verizon actually came out and officially confirmed the severe limitations. They flat out acknowledged that data, voice, text, and wireless home internet were all compromised, the whole shebang. For a massive chunk of their user base, this wasn't just a slow website or a dropped bar. It was an absolute, complete digital blackout across the board. Section 3. Customers speak out. Frustration mounts. You know, when the network goes down like this, the immediate reaction is usually confusion, but that very quickly turns into genuine anxiety. Customers flooded social media platforms to vent, and they definitely did not hold back. Just take this post. Is anyone else not having phone calls go through? I try to call my mom and brother, and it never connects to ring. This really captures that immediate, incredibly human panic. It's that sudden, totally unexpected block when you just want to check in on your immediate family. It perfectly highlights why this kind of infrastructure failure hits us so hard. And this next comment shows just how deep the technical issue actually went. A user from New York posted, quote, "I live in Ronkonkoma, New York, and 5 people here, all with Verizon, can't make or receive a call, on Wi-Fi or not on Wi-Fi. Now, normally, if a cell tower near you goes down, your phone is smart enough to just fall back onto Wi-Fi calling. The fact that even the Wi-Fi fallbacks were totally dead, that is absolutely crucial. It proves this wasn't just a local dead zone. The core routing of the entire network was entirely broken." You can literally feel the isolation building. Another user wrote, "So I can't call out to my family who's been trying to reach me. That's not cool." It's that uniquely helpless feeling, right? Knowing someone is actively trying to contact you, maybe it's urgent, and you are just entirely powerless to do anything about it. And obviously, when you push customers to that level of frustration, it starts hitting the bottom line. Look at this one. Another outage. I am so done with this. Do I need to switch to T-Mobile or AT&T for better service? This is the real commercial consequence of a massive blackout. These people aren't just mildly annoyed. They are publicly questioning their loyalty and openly asking if they should jump ship to a rival carrier. Consumer trust is a wildly fragile thing. Section 4. Verizon's response. Official statements. So, what was the massive telecom giant actually saying while all this was happening? A Verizon spokesperson put out this very carefully worded statement. We are aware of an issue impacting voice services for wireless customers in some parts of the U.S. Our engineers are engaged, and we are working quickly to identify and resolve the issue. They threw in a standard apology for the inconvenience and pointed everyone to a network status page. Honestly, it's pretty textbook crisis PR. Acknowledge the issue, tell everyone the engineers are on it. But here's the catch. The most crucial point is actually what they didn't say. Despite all the apologies and the status updates, there was one piece of critical information completely missing, an ETA for a fix. Verizon literally gave millions of stranded customers zero timeline for when things would be back online. Think about it. If you're stuck on the side of the road, knowing whether help is coming in 10 minutes or 10 hours changes everything. Keeping people in the dark about the timeline just dumped gasoline on the fire. Now, to really grasp why people were so fed up, you need a bit of context. This actually was not Verizon's first major stumble this year. Back in January of 2026, they suffered a massive outage that lasted nearly 10 hours, which was eventually traced back to a software issue. Fast forward to this August event. While the exact root cause was still being dug into as night fell, the early signs pointed strongly to another huge technical failure, rather than, say, a malicious cyber attack. For paying customers, getting hit with 2 severe, nationwide blackouts in a single year raises some very serious questions about just how reliable this infrastructure really is. Section 5. The bigger picture. Nationwide impact. When you zoom out, the sheer scale of this incident is kind of hard to wrap your head around. We saw these massive disruptions literally cascading across major U.S. cities all at once. The most basic function of a phone, just making a simple voice call, was totally paralyzed for a huge chunk of the country. And while Verizon's engineers were frantically scrambling behind the curtain to patch things up, everyday people were essentially left waiting in the dark, refreshing their screens over and over, just praying that SOS icon would go away. Which brings us to the real core of this entire breakdown. A massive event like the August 2026 Verizon outage isn't just an inconvenience, it really holds a mirror up to our modern lives. When basic cellular infrastructure just randomly drops off a cliff, our work, our ability to connect with loved ones, even our basic physical safety, it's all instantly compromised. So I want to leave you with this to think about. In an era where literally every single aspect of our lives is tethered to an invisible digital signal, are we dangerously too dependent on a reliable connection? Really think about how you'd manage tomorrow if your screen suddenly went dark. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep questioning the world around you.